So I thought that I'll take a break from new launches review for now, but there's going to be one that I'll be watching over very closely in the coming weeks, and I think you should, because it is the new RCR neighborhood that will see the first of its kind. I know some agents will say it's like first mover advantage, but given land cost in Singapore has been trading sideways all over in recent years, I think you can't definitively talk about first mover advantage that eagerly anymore. Yes, along the way we have transited to a GFA harmonized era where land cost gets lower but prices get so higher due to different costing into consideration. Like, to me, whether you get first mover advantage or not will always hinge on your entry level, the price you pay. You cannot possibly be paying the highest price in the first development and say you get to enjoy first mover advantage, right? Like Lentor Modern, if you buy into the transformation of the Lentor neighborhood and pay like 2004, 2005 for the first of its kind, high floor unblocked view, are you really sure you're making the right move? I mean, you might be sold by the idea, but is it really the case? Which is why Lentor Central lower floors is a super darn safe in my opinion, because the price point allows it to enjoy first mover advantage when it's supposedly fifth or sixth movers advantage. Anyway, going back to it, at the end of this video, we'll look at it to see if it's indeed a first mover advantage or is something you should just walk away from. Before we start, please look at the following. Disclaimer, whatever I share does not constitute financial advice. It is solely based on my opinion on what is right or wrong. So please do your own due diligence. If you're liking the content so far, please hit the like and subscribe button, as your simple gesture will help a lot with the YouTube algorithm. If you're interested to find out more about property related matters, please find all the social media handles I am on, or you can just directly reach out to me on WhatsApp. Separately, I have also set up a Telegram group at the start of the year so that we can have a discussion that we as agents are not allowed to do so online, which is to talk So if you are interested to get into a community that talks about everything under the sun about property, please scan the QR code, or for the boomers out there, I have pasted the link in my description. We're going to close the group invitation in probably a month or 2 times, so head over and I will see you there. Now back to the video. So where is this new neighborhood we are talking about today using our QPE framework? Opposite linear curve lah. It is none other than what falls within the One North transformation, the media circle plot, or what we call Bloomsbury residences. Now, simple introduction about Bloomsbury residences. The 3 blocks of total 358 units sits on approximately 115,000 square feet piece of land. Land was acquired around February 2024 at around 1,191 per square foot per plot ratio. Now, if you add the necessary costs here and there, the break-even should land at about 2,076 per square foot pre-harmonized. Then you add another 8% for harmonization, the reality should be around 2,252 per square foot break even. Just for a gauge, the Alta land cost was around 1,250 per square foot per plot ratio, and they launched an average of 2,537 per square foot, meaning the range started from 2,250 per square foot all the way to as high as 2,881 per square foot. So since this is about 60 per square foot lower in land cost, just agak-agak take about 60 per square foot from there lor. So it could start from 2,200 per square foot and go all the way to 2,800 per square foot, and hopefully averaging around maybe 2,480 per square foot. Okay, that's my estimation lah. Don't take my word for it, because I miscalculated the Pt.1 one by about 10 to 15%. So using our QPE framework, let's look at how Bloomsbury fares in this analysis. Now, first circle, quality, the land size, facilities and facade. 115,000 square feet land size in an area that is surrounded by offices is not too bad, because such property usually is small land size. This plot is built in a regular manner with most units tilting towards northeast or southwest. 1 lap pool and 2 other normal pool with even a tennis court and some facilities here and there. This is slightly more than what you should come to expect of a land plot that isn't too big. It also has a commercial component at the entrance of about 4,000 square feet, maybe NTUC Express, clinic, childcare, I don't know. Now, I usually don't comment on the following, but I thought I have to. 350 unit, only 40% with 143 lots, which is inclusive of 5 EV lots and 5 public lots. But got 90 bicycle lot. I mean, I don't cycle too much lah. This one might be a big problem for families. I know this is one of the regulations on the government's end to make the one-off area more car-like, but in Singapore, it is really very difficult. I don't think I can take it. So for this point of quality, I think this kind of just about makes it probably good enough for what it is given, but the car park ratio is quite shocking. Second point, layout. Okay, this is the fun part, and after looking at it at first glance, I think this will be one of the key selling points of Bloomsbury. Very efficient and neat. So for a start, good. There are no 1 or 1+ study units for this development. I love that. Starts from 2-bed, 1 bar, 570 square feet, dumbbell layout, very efficient. They're able to compact so much into a 570 square feet because the dining and becomes part of the open kitchen area. Otherwise, the smaller size should give you a very palatable entry level. We'll get into that at the end of the video. 2 stacks, all facing towards the Mediapolis direction. Now, next up, 2-bed, 2 bath, 646 and 678 square feet, dumbbell with an enclosed kitchen. As it's a center unit and not corner like the previous 570 square feet. There are like no windows in the kitchen and toilets, but this is really a very efficient layout without much wastage in space. The other 678 square feet is a bit more like the conventional layout that has an open concept kitchen with the dining being part of the kitchen like the 570 square feet. And because of the kitchen and the additional wasted space in the walkway to the rooms, I expect actually the dumbbell layouts to be the more preferred choice among the two. Interestingly, one of the walls separating the master and the living room can be knocked down. Not as if you would do that, but at least you get the option of doing it if need be lah. So same thing, 2 stacks for each unit height, all facing towards the southwest direction and towards the Mediapolis and future plot of GLS. 2+ study next. Finally, a layout that rivals Ori, EOK, and actually might be even better than the 2. 689 square feet, very good space. Dumbbell layout with a semi-enclosed kitchen. Everything is done almost the same as the 646 square feet, but the study position at the entrance of the house makes space planning so much easier. You can create either obviously a study or maybe a small little store with a bigger dining space. That open area kind of gives you the flexibility to do whatever you want. So I really love this one, probably the most efficient unit type or layout among everything else. Next up, the 3-bedroom type, and let me warn you first, there's quite a fair bit of permutations that caters to different needs. Okay, first up, the 3-bedroom plus study, 904 square feet. Again, a very functional 3 compact layout. Kitchen got window, toilets all got window, can fit queen, king, and the study actually doubles up more like a store lah. Quite small. If people like me are quite big size, it's gonna block the entire passageway in my opinion. Or the kids study will, I think study will become gone. So feels more like a 3 compact with a store, very clean configuration overall. 2 stacks facing the southwest direction again. All in all, still very clean. Next up, 3 Premier and the larger 3+ study, both 980 square feet. Looks exactly like the other 3 Premier unit and the other launches, but with the size falling under 1000 square feet. I think the developers managed to find the balance or giving you a good layout without having too much wasted space anyway lah. At the entrance, you get a store that is also part of where the DB box is. Bomb shelter at the back with a maid's room just beside it. All queen, king with what I think should be room sizes of more than 9 square meter or at least 9 square meter. All windows and kitchens, all got windows, quite good. 1 stack facing one of the blocks, so the lower floor should be okay, but the mid-floor one should be facing directly to your neighbor lah. The other 3+ study, 980 square feet, is even better in my honest opinion because you hardly get any wasted space entering the house, and because of that, you are rewarded with a study that again looks like another store. And because this is the one facing towards the West area, I think this will cost higher, but from a layout point of view, this would be my top choice for a 3-bedroom type because I think everything you need is enough here. Unless your pockets are deeper, then you can consider the next one, which is the largest 3-bedroom plus flexi, 109 square feet. This one really gives you a proper flexi. It's like equivalent to 2 study, like not the previous study that acts more like a store. The wall is something you can knock it down to give you a semi-landscape layout. So in this, you not only get a flexi that's a proper study, at the entrance, behind a dry kitchen, you also get a store. So for those who have more money and want to leverage on more space, this is the best you can find. So same thing, whenever you need a window, you will have it, including the one extra at the master beside the wardrobe, 1 stack facing the pool and the west side view. Again, I'm not too sure whether I'm pronouncing it correctly or not. But let's call it unblocked view, okay? Next up, the 4+ study type, 1173 and 1206 square feet. They're actually quite similar. Both has only 2 toilets aside from the maid's toilet at the back, and all are portrait layouts. Now, same, both of them got a study and store. All rooms queen, and master is actually quite big as we can see. King size bed comfortably with so much room to spare. I think the 1206 square feet master is slightly bigger. You tuck the bed to one corner, you can still put a very nice dressing table or simple sofa or proper study lah. I like this layout too, as the space is quite good, very efficient, and the square footage isn't too big either, which means that your entry level can be quite sweet. They are both facing the same direction, and if I have to pick one, I will choose the 1173 square feet, as the dining area is much wider as compared to the larger one, because the 1206 square feet has more space in the entrance, which can be quite wasted unless you're into feng shui lah, if you understand what I mean. So far, all the layouts are very good, but will the largest 4-bedroom suite impress? 1421 square feet with a flexi. Now, when I hear the suite out of nowhere, I think I jialat leh. Everything should be quite atas, which is true enough. The only unit type that has a private lift, and with it also comes a private lift lobby that can actually double up as a proper study or space for you to create more storage space. Just don't block the back door can already. Then the living has a very wide width with a flexi that is meant to be the actual study, but if you don't need it, since your study can be at the lift lobby as mentioned, knocking this wall gives you a very big living room space. Very similar to that of Navagrove or EOK 4-bedroom premium, comes with a dry kitchen and everything you need, but interestingly still only 2 toilets. I'm very surprised that the most premium unit doesn't come with a third bathroom, but the master is really big. King size bed with so much space to play around with, because your wardrobe becomes a walk-in closet leading to the master bath. 2 stacks facing towards the unblocked area and pool. This kind of layout obviously is reserved for the 阿哥阿姐 of. So that is about it. This is one of the most comprehensive and efficient layout types I've seen in the past few years, alongside the likes of Emerald Katong. Everything is enough, not too big, not too small, done in such a way that the size doesn't become too big, which might affect your price. And for that, I will touch on it at the end. So moving on, point number 3, location, MRT and amenities. We are in the part of the One North area that isn't very close to the MRT or amenities. So what are we close to? Mediacorp lor. You buy here, maybe you can rent to our local artists, maybe you might get the opportunity to brush shoulders with some of them visiting it during a preview. But beyond that, there really isn't much going on in this area. This is actually quite similar to Normanton Park. There's 2 sides of the coins. It is away from most stuff, but because of that, you're able to get a certain level of peacefulness and serenity. And your price comes down to a certain level that is hopefully more respectable. Now, imagine you're close to One North MRT or something like that, then this will definitely trade higher. So it's okay, given it's still pretty close to the One North commercial belt like Fusionopolis, Biopolis and the NUS. I also expect rents to stay pretty strong against those that are nearer to the MRT. Definitely it will be lower, but I think good enough, as the views for some here will be the selling point for the time being. Which brings me to the last point, views of course. As you can see, most of the premium units are away from the afternoon sun and facing towards the unblocked views of Wessex estate that's made out of all SLA houses, but whether that will stay as what it is remains unknown, as under the master plan it is zoned as subject to detailed planning. Imagine you pay a heavy premium for it and government decides to free up the land there for HDB or whatnot ever, then we're gone bro. Jam. Like Normanton Park, because it's away from most stuff, only then you are able to get a view like this. So if you get the right unit and facing, I think the view is gonna be pretty good. Of course, if it stays as what it is. So for the circle of quality, I think Bloomsbury checks out for most, with its efficient layout being the standout selling point. I can't fault anything about it other than the study for actually hobbies or small kids. Next circle, exit strategy. Who is our target audience? I already say it already. No lah, all seriousness, you will get a fair bit of upgraders who wants to be closer to the One North area that doesn't want to be the heart of it and want to take the risk of buying something that has a pretty good view, or at least for now, over commercial buildings everywhere else. No school around, doesn't matter, but I got to say, we got a lot of different schools. We got Tanglin Trust, INSEAD, UWC, NUS, ACS International, more suitable for the grown-ups, which creates an additional pool of prospective tenants. Not to forget that you're also in the Silicon Valley of Singapore. Grab, Shopee, transformation, agent will tell you that you are in the heart of Silicon Valley now. So many things happening, but if you know me well, you will know that I don't pay too much attention to it. Because while Jurong also got a million transformation, doesn't mean it makes more money. Correct? But you got to understand one point. For competitions around the neighborhood, I always believe that we will be second option to the likes of Rockpolis along Queenstown and Red Hill. Because the area has more history, hence you will get more people wanting to stay or live close to their past. It is only where people start to find properties there too expensive, then they might start to look for alternatives elsewhere. and the alternatives might land them closer to where Bloomsbury is. So for exit strategy, would I want to stay in this area personally? No, in fact, I don't even want to live anywhere close to this, but based on my experience, will a central westie consider this area? Not too bad. I can't say for sure people would jump at it as first choice, but it might be a pretty decent second option behind the popular hotspots in Clementi and Queenstown. Which brings me to the last circle and the most important one, price. And since I got a 2450 per square foot average selling price, if it's lower, good. If it's higher, then whatever lah. So let's multiply accordingly to see where we land at and who should we compare with. New launch pricing of Blossom by the Park, I think is fair. Resale prices of 2-year-old Normanton Park and 1-year-old One North Eden, shall we? So first up, the 2-bed 1-bath 1.396 or rather $1.39 million. So let's find it out with Normanton Park, as One North Eden and Blossom all starts from a 2-bed 2-bath. I might be wrong on that, but I think it is accurate. Now Normanton Park sells now at between 1.3 to $1.4 million. So this is quite fair, and if you compare with even some OCL 2-bed 1-bath which typically sells around $1.3 million, this is really quite palatable. Okay, so next up, the 2-bed 2-bath 646 and 678 square feet could be between the range of $1.58 to $1.66 million depending on unit type. Normanton Park sells theirs for $1.5 to $1.62 million. One North Eden trades about 1.6 easily, and for the new launch segment, Blossom by the Park sold their units almost 2 years ago at 1.55 all the way up to $1.8 million plus. So the price seems okay, right? The fair. Now I will talk separately about a 2+ study, 689 square feet, potentially $1.68 million. As mentioned, I think this is a very good size, and because the size is incredibly close to the normal 2-bedroom units, the gap is going to be quite narrow, and if it's that close, I might as well just hit the one with the study, right? So Normanton Park 2+ study sells at about $1.8 million. One North Eden did around $1.85 million. Blossom by the Park sold theirs 1.65 all the way to $1.95 million. So is $1.68 million okay? I think very okay lah. Now imagine it starts from 2,300 per square foot, 1.594, even better lah. But I think that one is only dreaming only. Okay, so next up, the 3-bedroom type, 3+ study, 904 square feet, $2.2 million, all the way to $2.7 million for the largest 3 flexi 1098 square feet. Now Normanton Park sells at around $1.9 to $2.15 million, and their larger 3 sells about $2.45 million. One North Eden 3 compact sells at $2.25 recently, and the larger 3 is between $2.55 to $2.6 million. For Blossom by the Park, it started from I think $2.1 million and averaged around $2.25 to $2.4, and the larger 3 got sold between $2.4 all the way to $2.85 million. Again, it seems kind of fair lah. Lastly, the 4-bedroom unit, again 2450 per square foot, probably about $2.87 million all the way to close to 3.5 for the largest 4-bedroom type, which is the 4 suite. Normanton Park hovers around 2.85 to 2.9 right now. One North Eden small 4-bedroom transacts at around $2.8 million, while the larger ones hit as high as $3.3 million. Blossom by the Park launched theirs, as mentioned, 2 years ago, 4-bedroom, easily hitting $3 million and up, with the larger one selling between 3.45 to I think 3.65. So still within range lah, not too expensive in my opinion. Now notice all the prices here are likely not new benchmark prices. Per square foot is about the same. It is only made possible because of the efficient layout and the smaller sizes due to harmonization. Now in conclusion, the key question you guys are going to ask is, can buy or cannot buy? And if can buy, what is my walkaway price? Well, I think can buy, and given we stress test it at the average of 2450 per square foot for some floors here and there, I actually walk away at above 2450 per square foot lah. I mean, I'll hit between 23 to 24 per square foot, and I'll think twice between 24 to 2450. Yes, I get it that we're in the Silicon Valley, but I think most locals won't jump too much at the idea of living close to all this tech industry lah. Granted, it is good for rent, but the key selling point must always come organically from local demand, since that is our market support for the years to come. You take too much of that away, then it's going to be just like any other new launch, unless you are from... The efficient layout and views are really the silver lining though. The 2+ study, 689 square feet, 3+ study, 980 square feet, and the 1173 square feet are unit types that I will watch over their prices very closely, as it will likely have a competitive edge against the rest. But there's an elephant in the room that I have to address. The Media Circle Pasar A was recently acquired at only 1037 PPR, which is 13% lower than Bloomsbury. Now, thankfully, it's also to Qingjian and 4 C holdings, which means that at least the lower land cost didn't end up at some other developers' lap where their motivations might be very different. Now, Qingjian can then control their prices, but definitely they will have a fatter margin for the parcel A side lah. All in all, this is good news, bad news, because the land prices isn't what agents has been pitching so far. Keeps going higher and higher, and but first mover advantage. So this is a very important piece of news because it will further validate my strike price, as anything higher than what was being mentioned, you might not get first mover advantage, because first mover advantage might be left for the other plot lah, plot A. Who knows? Only God knows, and Qingjian knows. We can only cover our downside so that our upside is secure. If you're someone who has missed all the exciting OCR launches recently and is being priced out of the CCR launches that is coming up, this is a decent RCR project to really consider. I still re-emphasize that most upgraders will look at the Queenstown condos in Commonwealth Towers, Queens and Sterling, or even the Clementi condos first before likely coming to us. But if their prices are already hitting 2.5 to 6 per square foot and you manage to get yours at post-harmonization of under 2,004 per square foot, and of course ideally as low as possible, I think you are pretty safe, because you can't have everything in life, and in Bloomsbury, unfortunately, you can't have too many cars, 40% only.